Imagine this. You get hit on the head, maybe by a crowbar, and bam, you wake up 1,300 years in the past.
Yeah, talk about disorientation.
Right. Your world, 19th century Connecticut, just gone. Replaced by 6th century Camelot, King Arthur's court.
It sounds like a fun time travel gimmick, but Mark Twain's A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court is, well, it's so much more than that.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, using the sources you've given us. It's this fascinating, sometimes pretty brutal look at an American trying to, quote, civilize medieval England.
And our mission here, for you listening, is to kind of unpack the surprising truths, maybe some uncomfortable ones, about progress and power and just human nature that this story digs into.
Because you'll see how this one guy, Hank Morgan, with his 13th century head start, creates amazing things, but also causes absolute catastrophe. It really challenges how we think about enlightenment and, the real cost of change.
And it's hinted at right from the beginning, isn't it? That intro note from MT.
Oh, yeah, the manuscript found at Warwick Castle.
Exactly. It mentions a bullet hole. In an old suit of armor, that detail just hangs there, hinting at the violence to come. It connects directly back to Hank.
So Hank Morgan, practical guy, factory superintendent from Connecticut, he lands in Camelot. What's his first impression? Is he impressed by the legend?
Not really, no. His first take is incredibly dismissive. He sees the people as, well, basically childlike, innocent, sure, but super naive.
Gullible.
Totally gullible. They believe these completely over-the-top stories like Sir Kay spinning yarns about Sir Lancelot, and they find these really old, stale jokes. Sir Dinadan's worm-eaten gags, absolutely hilarious.
Right, jokes from 1,300 years ago.
It immediately sets up this tension, Can someone who sees everyone else as simpletons actually help them? Or is this whole project kind of doomed by that superiority complex?
And the place itself, Camelot. It's not the shiny castle from the movie.
No way. The sources describe it as huge, lofty even, but incredibly basic. Think stone floors just covered in rushes, no soap, no matches, windows, forget glass.
Wow. And the lighting.
Get this. A bronze dish half full of boarding house butter with a blazing rag. That's your light source.
Unbelievable. And for Hank, coming from the 19th century, no sugar, coffee, tea, tobacco, that alone would be rough.
Oh, definitely. And he gets it immediately. He sees the massive advantage his knowledge gives him. Right away, he decides he's going to boss the whole country inside of 3 months.
He really says that.
Yep. He sees himself as a man among children, a master intelligence among intellectual moles. It's quite the attitude.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you had that kind of power, that tech advantage, how would you use it? Would you really aim for the greater good, or would that power just corrupt,
That's the core question, I think. And hey, well, he doesn't spend much time soul-searching. He just jumps right in.
Yeah, this Americanizing project. He looks at Merlin, the great wizard, and just thinks,
cheap old humbug. That's his assessment.
huh. And his first big move, after they sentence him to be burned at the stake.
Classic Hank. He uses his knowledge of an upcoming solar eclipse, times it perfectly, makes himself look like this all-powerful magician, saves his own skin, obviously, and boom, he's suddenly the second personage in the kingdom.
Quite the entrance. So how does he start building this new world?
He's incredibly ambitious. First thing, a patent office. He actually says a country without one is like a crab. It can only move sideways or backwards.
A patent office, okay. What else?
He starts man factories, that's his term for schools, and pushes hard for industries. Iron and steel, he sees them as actual missionaries for his kind of civilization.
And the hygiene thing, he was appalled by the dirtiness, right?
Oh, totally. Starts a soap factory, sends out literal missionaries to promote washing. He even tells them, look, if the nobles are scared, try the soap on a dog first.
That's amazing. And didn't one of them try to wash a hermit?
Yeah, it led to some unfortunate incident, but Hank spins it as great advertising. Patronized by the elect? The soap ad says. It's darkly funny.
He's really shaking things up. What about money and communication?
Big changes there, too. Introduces modern money sense, nickels, dimes, though he kind of struggles to get that a penny back then was worth, like, $2 in his time.
Right, the value difference.
And secretly, he starts stringing telegraph and telephone wires, ground wires, so nobody gets suspicious. He's dreaming of steamboats, railways, even discovering America again.
And he puts nobles in charge of trains.
Yep. Appoints dukes and earls as conductors, partly to give them something to do, keep them out of trouble, but it also shows that top-down, maybe slightly contemptuous way he's trying to manage them.
So all these innovations seem great on paper. Schools, hygiene, tech. But there's a darker side emerging, isn't there?
There absolutely is. The progress he brings often comes with violence. Right after he becomes the king's right-hand man, his first big public act is blowing up Merlin's tower. It was an old Roman tower.
With gunpowder.
With gunpowder, the first blessing of civilization he introduces. And the sources we looked at, they explicitly draw a parallel there to Columbus, Cortez, the whole imperial project.
That's heavy, and it doesn't stop there.
No. Later on, there's a scene where he faces down knights. They have spears and swords. He has Colt revolvers, and he just guns them down and says, "Cool as anything, the march of civilization was begun." Remember that bullet hole in the armor from the start?
Yeah, Sir Sagramor's armor.
It becomes real, a literal consequence of this civilization begun in blood, as the text puts it.
Wow. So the reforms, they look good, but the methods, they're jarring. Does progress have to be forced like that? What happens when technology just becomes a weapon for imposing your way?
Exactly. Those are the questions Twain forces us to ask. Because despite all Hank's efforts, all his tech, the past fights back. It's incredibly stubborn.
Yeah, let's talk about that resistance, the reality on the ground.
Even with Hank's factories starting up, life for the ordinary people, the free men, is still miserable. That's clear from the sources. They're tied to the land, forced labor, crazy taxes, brutal punishments.
There were some really grim examples in the sources. A guy jailed for years just for challenging a lord's to his bride.
Right, the droit du seigneur. Or a family destroyed because the wife stole basically a penny's worth of cloth to feed her starving kid. And the queen's dungeons, just filled with people, forgotten, crimes unknown, sometimes for decades.
And the nobility, even someone basically good like King Arthur, they just don't see it.
They seem completely blind. Arthur means well, but Hank has to literally drill him on how to pretend to be humble, how to understand the common folk. But the king admits, words realize nothing unless you have suffered in your own person. He just can't grasp their pain without feeling it himself.
That lack of empathy is stark. And Sandy, Hank's companion, she embodies this ingrained belief system too, right?
Perfectly. She's described as totally sane, but she lives in this different reality shaped by her upbringing. She looks at a bunch of pigs in a sty and sees a castle full of enchanted princesses. Seriously. And Hank's inventions. To her, they're just magic. It shows how incredibly hard it is to change those deep-seated cultural beliefs, those superstitions.
And towering over all of this is the church. Hank has strong feelings about the church.
Oh, yeah. He sees the Roman Catholic Church as that awful power, an established crime, he calls it. He blames it for turning people into worms by pushing the whole divine right of kings thing, inherited status, all of it.
He wanted to break it up, like in America.
Exactly. Create 40 free sects so they'd keep each other in check. Because he saw the church actively blocking his reforms.
Like insurance.
Yeah, they called insurance gambling against the decrees of God. It wasn't just about theology. It was woven into the fabric of society. It controlled everything, even dictating who could access deep waters of learning based on baptism.
So how could Hank's modern secular ideas ever really win against that?
It's the central conflict, really. It highlights just how tough it is to bring change when you're up against centuries of ingrained belief in these powerful structures, and it makes you pause. You know, are we totally free from our own inherited ideas that maybe blind us? Are we just trained in different ways?
That is a sobering thought. Okay, so all this tension, this clash of worlds, it has to come to a head. The final reckoning.
It does. It builds to this massive showdown. Sir Sagramor the Knight, whose armor had the bullet hole mention way back when he challenges Hank to a duel. Allusions.
To death.
To the death. And Hank sees it as more than just a personal fight. It's the final battle against knight errantry itself, his chance to wipe the slate clean.
And he doesn't hold back with the technology?
Not at all. He uses everything. Dynamite, and get this, he blows up his own factory so the knights can't use them against him.
Whoa.
Electric fences, a massive ditch, and Gatling guns. Multiple Gatling guns made back in Hartford, his hometown.
The result must have been horrific.
Absolutely devastating. 25,000 knights, the entire chivalry of England, basically, wiped out. The description is chilling. Reduced to homogeneous protoplasm with alloys of iron and buttons.
My God. So Hank wins. He and his, what was it, 50-something followers?
53 loyal boys, yeah. And they are technically masters of England, but it's the definition of a Pyrrhic victory. The cost is immense.
What happens to Hank?
He gets stabbed, ironically by a wounded knight he was trying to help. And then his remaining men start getting sick from the disease, the poisonous air bred by those dead thousands.
So it all just falls apart.
Pretty much. The manuscript ends with a postscript from Clarence, one of his boys. Hank's delirious, trapped behind his own electric fences, conquered by the aftermath of his own conquest. His last words are him whispering, "Hello, Central," trying to reach his own time, his lost world.
Wow. That's bleak. It just forces you to face the consequences, doesn't it? Of unchecked power, technology, this clash of civilizations. Even if he started with good intentions, can you really force change like that?
Yeah.
What does it even mean to be a master when you're surrounded by that much destruction you caused?
Heavy questions.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive really shows that Connecticut Yankee is way more than just a fun time travel story.
Absolutely. It's complex, it's satirical, but ultimately it's pretty tragic. A deep look at human nature, the promise and the peril of progress, and just how stubborn tradition and belief can be.
Hank wanted to bring the future to the past, right? But it feels like he ended up destroying both.
That's a powerful way to put it. And it leaves you with this big question, doesn't it? What does this story tell us about progress itself? And maybe about our own responsibility when we encounter beliefs or systems that seem outdated or wrong, whether we're looking back at history or just around us today.
Definitely something to think about long after we finish talking.